The second type of tissue is the connective tissue, right? Now, एक बड़ा difference है between epithelial tissues and connective tissues. That in the case of connective tissues, they are made up of different type of cells with a lot of intercellular space. And this intercellular space is filled with matrix. And within the matrix, we see the presence of these thread-like structures, which are called fibers. And the connective tissues are mostly vascular. The connective tissues are mostly vascular. They have their own blood supply. Now, the connective tissues can be classified as the first type, that is the connective tissue proper. Connective tissue proper performs the role of binding organs, tissues, organs को जोड़ना, binding. Okay. Now, in this binding type, you will have two separate types. The type where the cells are more and the fibers are less is called as a loose connective tissue proper. जहां पे cells कम है comparatively और fibers ज्यादा है, then it will be called as a dense type of connective tissue. And loose connective tissues are areolar, adipose. Dense are regular and irregular. That is called connective tissue proper. अभी जो कनेक्टिव टिश्यू प्रॉपर होता है उसमें आपको तीन कंपोनेंट्स देखने मिलेंगे, एक सेल्स, दूसरे फाइबर्स और तीसरा इंटरसेलुलर स्पेसेस के अंदर मैट्रिक्स. These cells are of different types. The fibroblast, which secrete the fibers in the matrix, the macrophages, which perform phagocytosis, then the plasma cells, which produce antibodies, and the mast cells, which produce the chemicals like heparin and histamine, where heparin is an anticoagulant and histamine is a vasodilator. It causes inflammation. Fibers are of two types: the white fibers, which contain a lot of collagen, and the yellow fibers, which are called elastin fibers. Okay, they contain the protein that is called elastin. The third type is also there, but it's not mentioned in the NCRT text, which are called as the reticular fibers. Okay, now these components you will find in the connective tissue proper. Among the connective tissue proper, what we observe is if the fibers have spaces called areolae, that connective tissue proper is called as the areolar connective tissue. यही एरियोलर कनेक्टिव टिश्यू में अगर बाकी सारे सेल्स कम होते हैं बट दे शो द प्रेजेंस ऑफ अ फैट स्टोरिंग सेल, जो आप स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हो, द फैट स्टोरिंग सेल इज कॉल्ड एडिपोसाइट. इसके पास एक फैट ड्रॉपलेट होता है, सो दैट becomes an adipose connective tissue. ओके। अब we are doing the first type of the areola. We are doing the first type of the binding connective tissues, the connective tissue proper. The areolar connective tissues are considered to be most widely distributed tissues present throughout the body. They connect your skin integumentary system with the underlying parts. ओके। अब यहाँ पे आपको ध्यान में रखना है कौन से सेल्स है और ये जो लेबलिंग दी हुई है एनसीईआरटी में। सेकेंड टाइप एडिपोज, अंदर ये फैट स्टोरेज वाली एरिया, न्यूक्लियस देखो पेरिफेरी की तरफ चला गया। ओके। लोकेशन बीनीथ द स्किन, फंक्शन फैट स्टोरेज। द डेंस कनेक्टिव टिश्यू जिसमें फाइबर्स ज्यादा हैं और आपके सेल्स कम है, उसमें अगर कोलेजन फाइबर्स पैरेलली अरेंज्ड है तो वी कॉल इट डेंस रेगुलर टाइप। और अगर कोलेजन फाइबर्स रैंडमली अरेंज है तो उसको हम कहते हैं डेंस इरेगुलर टाइप। ओके। एंड द डेंस रेगुलर कैन आइदर बी अ टेंडन where it's that type that attaches the muscle to the bone, that is called as a tendon. The tendon has more amount of white fibers. The second type of the dense regular is a ligament which connects the bone to the bone. Okay, it has more amount of yellow fibers, so it can give more flexibility. The third type, that is the white fibrous tissue. These are the sheets. They're flat. So we continue with the supportive type of connective tissues. And the supportive type of connective tissues are those which make up the human skeleton. Okay. And there are two types of supportive type of connective tissues. One is the cartilage and the other is the bones. So the first type, that is the cartilage. What is this cartilage? It's a pliable tissue. See, look at my ear. It is flexible. So even though it is rigid, it is a semi-rigid tissue. It is flexible. It is strong and it can undergo bending. So even if you bend, it can withstand that compression. One interesting thing about the cartilage is the cartilage is covered by membrane, this membrane, which is called perichondrium. And this perichondrium that I just showed you, it is vascular, but the inner tissue of the cartilage, it is avascular. मतलब ये अगर पेरिकॉन्ड्रियम है तो इसके अंदर ब्लड सप्लाई होती है, क्योंकि ये जो पेरिकॉन्ड्रियम है ये एक अलग टिश्यू है. इट्स अ व्हाइट फाइबरस शीट एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ द कार्टिलेज इनसाइड it is avascular. So the cartilage will get the nutrients slowly by diffusion from the perichondrium. ये एक important concept है कि जो उसका कवरिंग है पेरिकॉन्ड्रियम वो वैस्कुलर है, वो एक वाइट फाइब्रस शीट है, लेकिन अंदर का जो कार्टिलेज है, टिश्यू जो प्रॉपर कार्टिलेज है, वो अवैस्कुलर. दैट इज व्हाई any injury to the cartilage will take more time to heal. That is why if you pierce the nose or the ear, and even if you don't wear the rings for few days, वो होल मिट नहीं जाता. क्योंकि कार्टिलेज को हीलिंग के लिए टाइम ज्यादा लगता है, क्योंकि वो एक अवैस्कुलर टिश्यू। नाउ what makes the cartilage a pliable and a flexible tissue? It is because of this salt called chondroitin sulfate, okay, along with a protein which is called chondrin. And these things give the cartilage the strength and the flexibility. The cartilage are widely distributed in the human body, such as in the tip of the nose, the windpipe, that is the trachea, then the voice box, larynx, the bronchi, okay, and the end of the bones, long bones. They show the presence of these cartilages. Depending upon the matrix, what type of matrix is found in the cartilage? The cartilage are of different types. There's a type of cartilage called hyaline cartilage, and this is one of the most common cartilages in the human body, and it is translucent, meaning it allows light to pass, but it is not see-through. It's translucent. It is bluish in color a little bit, and it is located in your nasal septum. Just look at me, this nasal septum. Then the hyoid bone, that part. Most of your embryonic skeleton is made up of this particular cartilage, hyaline cartilage. One more place where the hyaline cartilage is. So you see these long bones. The surface of the long bone is called articular surfaces. When they come close to each other, they articulate with each other. And these articulating surfaces are also covered by these hyaline cartilages. In this particular diagram, we find that the hyaline cartilage is made up of these cartilaginous cells, which are called chondrocytes. And you can see a lot of collagen fibers, which will give this cartilage that particular rigidity that is required. Okay. Now, in a typical cartilage, you have this perichondrium, and the perichondrium is vascular, it has those blood vessels. This is the matrix, and there are spaces within the cartilage. These spaces are called lacunae, and inside the lacunae, we see the presence of the cells, which are called chondrocytes, and they are varying numbers, अलग-अलग numbers के होते हैं, chondrocytes. These chondrocytes, they come from these precursor cells, जिसको अभी मैं बना रहा हूं यहाँ पे, जिनको हम बोलते हैं chondroblast. ओके, तो chondroblast से ही बनते हैं ये chondrocytes. chondroblast मैट्रिक्स को बनाएंगे, chondrocytes मैट्रिक्स को मेंटेन करते हैं. ये टिपिकल कार्टिलेज, और इसकी अलग अलग टाइप्स है. मैट्रिक्स जैसे डिफर करेगा, वैसे आपको अलग अलग टाइप्स मिलेंगे. जैसे जस्ट हम लोग ने पढ़ा हाइलीन कार्टिलेज के बारे में. सिमिलरली there is a cartilage called white fibrous cartilage, and this white fibrous cartilage is the toughest and the strongest among the cartilages. और उसका रीजन ये है, इट इज अ लॉट ऑफ कोलेजन फाइबर्स. कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट है ये? हमारे जो हिप बोन्स है उसको बोलते हैं प्यूबिक बोन्स. हमने स्केलेटन चैप्टर में पढ़ा है। तो ये जो हिप बोन्स है, दे मीट ईच अदर एंड देयर मीटिंग पॉइंट इज द टू प्यूबिक बोन्स। वहां पे एक कार्टिलेज है विच इज कॉल्ड प्यूबिक सिम्फाइसिस। So if you have, just imagine one pubic bone or one pelvic girdle bone, another bone, and they two meet each other at this point, which is the pubic symphysis. Then intervertebral discs, that is, in between the two vertebrae, there is this cartilage, which is called the intervertebral disc. The third type, that is the yellow fibrous cartilage, which is one of the most flexible ones. It is found in the external ear, that is the pinna, and also in the part of your larynx. So quickly, you should know the basic properties of a cartilage, the three different type of cartilages, and their specific positions in the human body. Now, moving further to second type of the supportive connective tissue, which is the bones. Now, let us talk about these bones. So, जब भी हमने कार्टिलेज के बारे में बात किया, तो कार्टिलेज was a rigid but a flexible tissue. But bones are non-pliable and rigid. They are strong, and their rigidity, their toughness of the bone is because of the calcification of the matrix of the bone. बोन का जो मैट्रिक्स होता है उसके अंदर मिनरल्स होते हैं, सॉल्ट्स होते हैं. इट शोज द प्रेजेंस ऑफ अ प्रोटीन कॉल्ड ओसीन, सॉल्ट कॉल्ड एज कैल्शियम हाइड्रोक्सीएपेटाइट. और ये सब की वजह से द बोन बिकम्स स्ट्रॉन्ग and the bone becomes non-pliable and rigid. जो बोन के स्ट्रक्चरल एंड फंक्शनल सेल्स है वो है ऑस्टियोब्लास्ट एंड ऑस्टियोसाइट्स. Okay, these osteoblasts, they help in the formation of these osteocytes, and the way these bones show the arrangement of these cells is a system called as Haversian system. And this diagram in front of you is one Haversian system. Okay, it's a compact bone, मानी एक बोन के पास स्पॉन्जी पार्ट होता है और ये जो शाफ्ट वाला पार्ट है वो कॉम्पैक्ट बोन. दिस कॉम्पैक्ट बोन shows the presence of the cells which are called as osteocytes. देखिए ये बोन की आउटर मोस्ट कवरिंग है, ये सेंटर में मैरो कैविटी है, and this is the Haversian canal, and surrounding the Haversian canal you have these bone cells called as osteocytes, and they form this lamellae which is called Haversian system, which we have done in detail in our classroom. So these things about the bone you remember.